Now it's time to make our first animation. By now, you already know the basics of Blender, basics of animation, so I think you're confident to jump into your first animation, which is going to be the idle breathing. We're going to start simple, and then we're going to increase the difficulty of the animations as we go on. So first of all, let's start by making the breathing animation. First thing we need to do is go here, make sure our frame rate is set to 30 FPS, turn on auto keyframing, click on keying, and set this to location and rotation, and scale. Now, let's set our end frame to something like 30 because we don't need to animate on 250 frames. Press on the home key to frame it. And now I'm going to play back and feel the animation. Let's see. Now I think it's going to be a bit too fast, so I'm going to set the end frame to something like 70, for example, so that we give our character a lot of time to breathe. So I'm going to set the end frame from 0 to 70, and let's see. So let's imagine the character breathes up and then breathes down. Yeah, I think that's good enough. So now we can begin. I'm going to select the character. I'm going to click on Control Tab to go to pose mode. And now I'm going to select all the bones I'm going to need to animate. So I don't need to animate the legs. I don't need to animate the root bone. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to select the hands like this, shift select them. I'm going to select the body. So this is the torso, this is the hip bone, and this is the pelvis. Then I'm going to select the head. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to ignore the face because I don't really need to animate the face. So once I select all of the bones I need to animate, I'm going to go to frame 0. So I'll set this to frame 0. And now once we go here, make sure to press on I to set a keyframe. Now the character is placed on the default position, which is what we don't want. So let's give a character some idle pose. So maybe I'm going to stretch out the arm. So I'm going to select the arm, press on R to rotate and move it on the side. And do the same thing here. Maybe select the forearm, move it slightly forward, just to break out the perfectionism and break out the robotic stance of the character. I can slightly rotate the head inwards, rotate the body inwards like this, select the pelvis, press on G. So if I press on G, it's going to move up and down. So if I press on G and then Z, I can move it down slightly. If you want to move it on small increments, you can press a GZ and then shift. And now it's going to move on small increments, which is why I use oftentimes. So I'm going to move it down like this. Now, I told you that we don't need to animate the legs, but I'm still going to select the legs like this and then move them apart. In that process, if I don't want any keyframes to be added on the legs, I can temporarily turn off auto keyframing. Now I'm going to move the legs apart like this. And then you can see I don't have any keyframes added because I turned off auto keyframing. So let's move the legs like this, maybe rotate them slightly. And now I just created a very default pose of the character. Now, once we're happy with it, select all the bones again. So select the hands, select the entire body, and select the head. Now, make sure to press on I to confirm that they have location, rotation, and scale keyframes again. Then go to frame 70 and then press on I again so that the animation loops and we have the same keyframe on 0 and 70. Now we need to add another pose. So we need to go in the middle, which is frame 35. And now I'm going to select the torso, press on Alt R so that it rotates backwards slightly. And also I'm going to press on RX, rotate it backwards, and then GZ, and then move it up like this. So what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to stretch the character slightly. Remember squash and stretch, right? If I take the character and move it up, obviously it's way too much, but you can actually do it slightly. So press GZ and then move it up slightly, and then RX, and then move it backwards slightly like this. Now, after we move the pelvis up, I can take the head and rotate it up slightly as well. So I'm going to press on R and then lock it on X axis and move it up like this. I can take the hands as well, select them together, press on R, X, and then rotate them backwards slightly. I can also select the forearms and rotate them slightly as well. So the main idea is that the character is shrinked here, and then the character is going to expand here slightly. So now if I play back my animation, you can see what I have. I have this idle breathing animation. Instead of the character staying in one place all the time like a robot, it actually moves and has some personality. Now, while we're here, I want to explain a very important concept, which is called twinning. In animation, you want to avoid twinning, which means you have two sides of the character which looks too symmetrical. So if it looks too symmetrical, it's going to look robotic and it's going to look unnatural. So if I look at this character, the hands are in the exact same position, the legs are in the exact same position, and it's standing like a robot. But if you want to break twinning, you can actually take the character and make it look like this. For example, break out the symmetry, move the hand like this, rotate it like this, rotate it outwards like this. Maybe move the hand, maybe move the body slightly like this. Rotate the head on the side, maybe inwards. Slightly rotate this leg, and that's it. Don't go overboard with it, but you get the idea. You want to avoid twinning because it's going to look way too robotic, way too mechanical. So if you have a character like this, it looks way more natural. Or even this one looks more natural than what we had before. So if I do Alt R, Alt G, obviously that doesn't look very appealing. And this actually looks like a person doing something. And then this looks like a robot standing and then waiting for a command, basically. So I hope you get the idea, and now we can continue with the breathing animation. Now again, like with any other animation, we can watch our animation over and over again and see what we can improve. So right now, only the torso is moving. So torso is moving backwards and up slightly and then forwards again. So I can actually take the pelvis as well. So pelvis is bent down like this. Then I can go on frame 35, press G, Z, and then shift and then slightly move it up. Now if I watch my animation, I have way more movement in the pelvis and way more movement in the torso as well. And that looks very nice and appealing. So that's how we create very nice, very simple looping animation, very simple breathing animation. And again, if you want to loop it, you can select everything, press on A, select everything, Shift E, make cyclic, and that's it. So that's pretty much it about the breathing animation, and I will see you in the next lecture.